Uber and Lyft's CEO have come out with a joint statement, and they have promised that they intend to raise the driver's payment. However, they have some conditions. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and yeah, we're not kidding. That intro was not a lie. Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi and Logan Green and John Zimmer, the CEO and the COO of Lyft, I believe it is, they have actually come together in a joint statement, a joint open letter, if you will, to the public at large, saying that they want to work together to raise the drivers' rates. This, frankly, surprised me, it shocked me, and I was pretty beside myself when I read it, and we're going to read it together, and this is going to be a two-part video. We're going to talk about all the positives today, because this is truly something I believe could be very, very positive, something we've obviously been asking for a long time. And then there's like a very, very big negative, and we'll talk about the negative tomorrow. But we are going to talk about the positive today because, oh boy, I would be very happy if this actually happened. However, before we talk about any of that, let's have a word from our sponsors. Times are changing for gig workers and the gig economy, and there are a lot more gigs from a lot more companies than there used to be. That's why when people ask me where they can go to find resources for the gig economy, I recommend gigworker.com. At this site, you can see what other gig workers are doing and discover better opportunities from industries, companies, resources, and even a forum where you can talk with other people in the gig economy. Gigworker.com is a great resource site, whether you work for Uber, Lyft, Postmates, DoorDash, TaxRabbit, Thumbtack, Upwork, whatever. There's a gig for you and there's a forum for you on gigworker.com. Gigworker.com for all your gigs. So here's the letter from the San Francisco Chronicle. Open forum. Uber, Lyft ready to do our part for drivers. It took you long enough. Months of people, more than 1% of the U.S. workforce, choose to drive with Uber and Lyft, the companies we lead. In a tight labor market that gives workers many choices, the obvious question is why? Speak with drivers, and they will tell you that they are attracted to the work because of the flexibility it affords. This is actually very true. I have made many, many videos showing you how you are getting screwed with their current rates and payment. How they have cut, we went from making like $2.30 a mile to 60 cents a mile. In some cases, less. At one point, I think Detroit was making as little as 30 cents a mile. So trust me, people weren't sticking around because they're making good money on this. Well, some are, but in general, it's not because they're making good money. It's because it's flexible. It really works for them that way. So that's true. Very few jobs allow you to start or stop working whenever, wherever, as often as you want. Beyond the more than $80 billion directly earned to date by people driving with Uber and Lyft, research shows the flexibility of this new type of work, has created a real quantifiable value for the company and drivers. For the drivers and the economy. I don't know. I can't talk today. I must be so shocked that they're even saying this. But for all of its virtues, independent work also presents challenges. Studies have found that it's associated with higher levels of stress. Rideshare drivers' worries may concern earning stability, protections on the job, and the ability to have a meaningful voice in the companies whose apps they use. I would say so. I have been voicing many of these concerns for years. Granted, I haven't been a driver for a little while, but I was making these concerns when I was a driver. They didn't care, and trust me, some of the people who are driving now, who were against me, have come to my way of thinking, have actually agreed with me more often, and they drive a heck of a lot more. Uber doesn't care about them either, or Lyft for that matter. These challenges are part of a long-term trend affecting all workers, particularly those at the lower end of the economic ladder. We understand this reality and understand that independent contractors face unique challenges. We can make independent work better if we update century-old employment laws. Many drivers are offering ideas to improve their experience, and companies like ours have a responsibility to come to the table to do our part. Some have proposed turning independent workers into employees in the belief that this would solve their challenges. But reclassification misses two important points. First, most drivers prefer freedom and flexibility to the forced schedules and rigid hourly shifts of traditional employment. And second, many drivers are supplementing income from other work. I actually agree completely with that, believe it or not. Let me dismiss the alarm right here. This is actually very, very true. The freedom and flexibility, again, is what a lot of people don't want. Now, it's, of course, funny because some people work more than the 40 hours a week thing. And those people are very well known and they are very successful at what they do. However, a lot of people do, at least in the comments, admit they like the flexibility. And for a lot of people, it's a supplementary income. And if you force them to take part-time work where they have like a set schedule and everything, then it's going to lose a lot of the charm for them. So, this is why I've ultimately said I would like to stay independent contractor. I would like it if Uber and Lyft got their heads out of their collective asses, just paid the drivers more, and managed this better. And they haven't. So far, we're actually agreeing, and the reason the employee status thing keeps getting introduced is because they are not helping with the wages. That yes, the flexibility is there, but they're also not helping with the information that we need to have. And we need to have information regardless whether we have 90% of the rides accepted or not. And they are not helping us with the benefits, which could be very, very useful. I mean, I'm sure drivers would gladly have money taken out of their rides to pay for decent insurance. So these are not being addressed, only the flexibility. And that's what they would like to protect. It's just with so many things going against them, is it worth protecting? And that's where the debate is coming up. But let's continue. It's also no secret that a change to the employment classification of rideshare drivers would pose a risk to our business. That's why they're writing this letter. But it's equally true that the status quo can and should be improved. Current employment laws, however, do not allow companies like ours to offer certain benefits without blurring the boundaries of employment and triggering a wave of litigation in which nobody wins. I'm sure that's all it is. However, here's the thing. Let's talk about this for a second. The benefits. The benefits are actually kind of small on most people's demands at this point, because if you pay well enough, you can get your own benefits. And Covered California, I know, and there's like Obamacare in general, offers benefits at reasonable prices to pretty much all Americans. So if you paid us better, we could take care of our own benefits. So don't act like everything you're doing is just because if you did it, it would trigger legislation. Guess what? Everything you're not doing with the pay is triggering legislation right now. Today in California, we have an opportunity to work with legislators and labor groups to find a different solution that preserves drivers' abilities to work independently if they choose to do so while improving the quality and security of their work. We can start by ensuring that all workers, regardless of classification, are protected. Amending existing laws to allow for a system of worker-determined benefits, from paid time off to retirement planning to lifelong learning, could deliver a measure of security that independent workers currently lack. Not terrible. However, the key thing that people are complaining about is the wages. In fact, I kind of wonder, because Uber, Dara Khosrowshahi, several months ago in that video where I famously blew up at him because he made that comment, it'll work for some people and work for others. Some people took that as like well, he's being honest. It's like, and that I think they kind of missed the point on why I got upset with that. But one of the things he said was that we were looking into benefits for drivers, and I kind of rolled my eyes because it's like, I don't hear anyone talking about benefit. You're not doing that anyway. Well, here they are, they're talking about it. I wonder if that's what he's talking about. So, again, I'm not hearing a lot about paying yet. I'm not hearing about the payments yet. So, but let's continue. We can also give workers more of a say in the decisions affecting their lives and livelihoods. The diffuse nature of independent work makes it difficult for drivers to feel connected to their peers and to advocate for themselves and each other. We can start by forming a new driver association in partnership with state lawmakers and labor groups to represent drivers' interests and administer the sort of benefits that meet their highly individual needs. Oh, kind of like a union? Perhaps? Maybe perhaps a union. We'll see. Of course, this effort would not be complete without addressing driver earnings, estimates of which vary widely. We can work with the California Legislature to establish a commitment to driver pay and earnings transparency for the work performed between accepting a ride and dropping off passengers after counting for reasonable expenses. Which also, I want to say, will not... This is interesting because he says accounting for reasonable expenses. It's like, whose expenses are they talking about? Because I think drivers are especially getting fed up with the 50% or more that's taking from their earnings, of which I probably will make a follow-up video because so many people sent me their earnings like almost as if it's like, hey, you think the earnings you show are bad? Well, we can show you much worse. But hey, they're talking about payments. So finally, our companies are no longer upstarts. We are public companies that tens of millions of people rely on for mobility and for work. If there was a time for new policy, it's now. What's more, our company is changing. Automation, artificial intelligence, and other emerging trends mean we can't know exactly what the future of work will look like. What we need to know is that more people are choosing to work independently. While tomorrow will bring new and unexpected challenges, our companies are ready to provide additional protections that workers need and deserve today. We look forward to working collaboratively to help California lead the way. So that's from Dara Khosrowshahi and Logan Green and John Zimmer, Chief Executive and President, respectively. So what have they promised in this letter? Well, if you read between the lines, they're effectively saying this: don't regulate us. Please do not regulate us. We don't want to be regulated. It poses a threat to our business. However, we are conceding that if you agree not to legislate us, and if you give the driver some representation, a union, if you will, that can work with us on what the drivers want and need, we will work with the union on benefits and pay rate so that, we don't have to be regulated by the government. So here's the thing. I think that's very, very good. I think that is that's what we've been asking for a long time. I mean, I think most driver unions would be okay with that, because I believe there is a middle ground here where you can have the drivers get on and off whenever they want and still get paid decently. And hey, if you drive more like a full-time employee, then you can start getting into the benefits thing. Let me tell you how this worked when I worked at Disneyland. Because Disneyland, it's not exactly a apples to oranges comparison, because Disneyland does have a set schedule. However, you would have a full-time and a part-time status. And when you went to full-time, you had benefits and everything. However, you had an average you had to keep. So like if you took too many sick days or too many days off, then your average would fall. And if your average fell, you would eventually lose those benefits. So that encouraged you to not ask to be sent home early. That encouraged you to stay the full 40 hours, so that on the rare occasion when you needed like full days off and you needed like a few of them in a row for sick purposes, you kept your average. And certain benefits would only be available if you work so many hours. So that's something that Uber and Lyft could do. Like, you hit a certain number of hours for so many weeks, then you can start earning benefits. And you maintain a certain average of hours to keep those benefits. Meanwhile, everyone is making more money, so people who truly are doing it just for supplemental pay can do it whenever they want. And people who are doing this full-time can continue to do it full-time. By the way, there does need to be a provision in there, I believe, that if you're working more than 40 hours, you do get paid more money, or your benefits cost less. Those people need to be factored into this as well. And this could be beneficial for everyone, because you might actually pick up more part-time drivers. If the pay was decent, they would actually go out and do more of it. And it has to be based on more than just like in terms of the benefits and stuff. that has to be based more on than just how many rides you're doing. That has to be taken into account how many, how many hours you're logged on. Now, there, of course, can be a revision where if you're declining too many rides, this is probably where the acceptance rate would come in, to be honest. The acceptance rate would have to be a certain amount and have to be an average every day, like, to keep the benefits. Like, if there were so many days where you were accepting less than 80% of the rides, for example, then yeah, your benefits might be in jeopardy, and they need to be warned in advance that that is going to happen. However, that, this could, in theory, solve the big problem that, hey, we can, the drivers can finally start getting paid more and get paid the benefits. This is great news. In fact, Uber, Lyft, I will tell you this right now. This is something I've been saying for a long time. If you paid fairly, I would gladly go back to doing this. I miss this. I am finally going to be getting a hybrid vehicle probably in January or February. I'm saving it right now because a Corolla is starting to feel like it's on its last legs. I'm pretty sure I can run it for another year, but I definitely put some miles on it, so it's starting to wear out and starting to show. I finally want to get a hybrid because of the gas prices and everything, and if I have that hybrid, and if you start paying more money, I won't do it full time, but I will come back to doing this because I love it, and I miss it. I really miss it. That's why I'm so hard on you. I wish I could do this, and I can't. So, you know what? And we didn't even need to get to this point. I mean, here's the real reason they're doing this now. Because the regulation is coming. We know it's coming. I've told you it's coming. Heck, de Blasio from New York, he has just announced that he is planning on making the vehicle cap permanent. Because clearly it's working over there to some level. At least the government feels it is working for them. You think that stuff isn't coming everywhere else. It is coming everywhere else. So that's the kind of stuff that Uber wants to get away from. They see that they're going to lose that battle if they keep snubbing us. So now they're making a public statement to the governments and even to the protesters and the advocacy groups. Like, we want to work with you to make sure this doesn't happen for us, and we will pay you better. That is great news. I would gladly come back. However, it's probably not going to happen. And here's why it's probably not going to happen. Because in this statement, by doing this statement, Uber and Lyft may have unintentionally completely boned themselves. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow. I'm going to share the other side of this little statement and how damaging it might actually be. In the meantime, if you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly. Oh shoot, I skipped a part. Yeah, what do you think about all this? What do you think? Like, does it make you happy, upset? Does it sound like a good thing? And what do you think Uber and Lyft did wrong with this joint statement? Anyone want to speculate? You can below. So do so. And in the meantime, if gas prices are getting you a little down, check out the Get Upside app below. It's totally free, but you get cash back on every gas purchase. If you want, subscribe to the Apptrepreneur Vlogs channel. We just hit 200 subscribers, and we're doing more videos, unique videos that are different from what you see on this channel. And finally, if you want to talk to me or other fellow rideshare people, check us out at the Apptrepreneur Hangouts. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one. Oh, the Apptrepreneur Hangouts is on Facebook, by the way. Talk to you later. This really makes me pretty excited, to be honest. And yet, I know it's not going to work. See you tomorrow.